We are back.
Come on.
How are you doing, mate? I feel like I haven't spoken to you.
It's been ages, isn't it?
It's been,
We've texted here and there, but
I want to say it's a month or like 3 weeks.
yeah, that's mad.
Also, apologies to anyone listening. I'm going to be eating jerk chicken throughout this podcast because today is tight, but here's what it is. Got to get gains.
It is what it is, sir. What's going on with you, bro?
Nothing much, mate.
Yeah,
Actually, that's a lie. Much.
come on.
I've just been getting back, well, getting back into routine of things with um the start of this kind of like second cut.
Hmm.
And then picking up some clients here and there, work and stuff, just, getting on with the ropes and just getting back into things. What about you, mate?
Yeah, same, bro. Literally, just been cracking away with work,
Hmm.
um, training, just the usual, to be honest, bro. Just the usual, mate. You
Good
say you're
stuff.
going to Vegas?
I am.
Mad. With the family or with the boys?
I wish I could go with the boys. That's been a
Right.
bit, that's a discredit to the family. Um, I'm gassed. I'm gassed either way. Um, but yeah, no, for the old man's 60th,
Oh, no way. That's
Vegas. So I wanted to like I fell off a little bit with just like motivation because I lost 10 kilos initially. And like I'm happy with how I look, but I don't know. I've just kind of the main reason I wanted to have this topic about kind of like balancing fitness and life is because this kind of last I want to say like last kind of 3 months it's been on my mind. But
Mm.
like this last month, like I just kind of had like an epiphany moment where I was like, when am I actually going to be happy? Like when is all of this going to be enough?
Yeah.
Like I really sat there and thought to myself, like, what do I want out of this? And I thought, am I going to be happy where I stand on stage and I've absolutely like dieted down and fucking put my all in, and then someone says first place, is that what's going to make me happy? Am I going to be happy, when I lift a shit ton of weight? Am I going to be happy when I get the end physique? But like
Yeah.
anyone who's done this game knows there isn't really an end physique.
No.
Um, and I just kind of like took a step back and I was just like, I'm putting so much pressure on myself to, work towards something that, I might not even reach. And for
Yeah.
me to, you know, put my value of myself as like an end goal and like that's when I get happiness. It just kind of like opened my eyes a bit and I was just like, I don't want to live my life like that, you know?
No.
Because as morbid as some people may take it, like I could walk outside. I could drive to the gym later on today. I could die in a car crash, and what
Yeah.
I'm not happy because I never achieved X, Y, and Z. Um,
Mm.
like I think a lot of it has been, there's things here and there, but like yeah, it just kind of out of nowhere just kind of hit me, and I was just like, it really threw me off because I think like for the longest time
Yeah.
I've identified as being a bodybuilder, like that is just
Yeah.
my mentality. And
Yeah.
recently, I feel like I've neglected. Well, not even recently. I feel like the last 2 years in pursuit of that has caused me to neglect other aspects of my life. And there's
Hmm.
some other people on Instagram, I've talked to who've gone through a very similar thing.
Yeah.
Shout out Robbie if he's listening. But he said a similar thing. Like he was obsessed with bodybuilding, competed, and he literally came off stage and he was like, "I'm never doing this again." And he won. He won.
Yeah.
He won his show. Like
Mad.
he didn't do bad, and he was just like, "I'm never doing this again." And I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna compete, but I just for the moment it's not even on my mind. I'm just trying to kind
Mm.
of I wanna have a healthier relationship with fitness, and that's kind of what I want this kind of episode to be. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have anything to say on that, mate? Or
I think it's really refreshing to hear, to be
Mhm.
honest. Um, I'll also say I think it's very, very easily done.
Oh,
Um, Like it really, really is. And I think I had a moment recently, maybe 8 weeks ago, where I can happily say I've never wanted to be a bodybuilder. I
Mm,
would never ever step on stage,
mm,
and that just does not interest me whatsoever. But every day I'd go onto my Instagram feed, and what was the only thing that I was seeing? Bodybuilders. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm
yeah.
following so many bodybuilders who don't align with what, like, listen, I really, really respect them. And if they want to take that route, be my guest. And I hope it works really well for you.
Mm,
But I train and I want to look good for different reasons. So for me, I don't want to just have a good body just to look good on stage to be judged against 30 other blokes.
mm,
I want to have a good body because it means that I'm probably going to be quite healthy. Like, basically, my motto for exercise was obviously I got into it for the mental health reasons.
mm,
But for me now, it's on a daily basis. Why don't I work towards looking good, feeling good, and moving good? And if I can focus on them three, that will correlate for me being happier, healthier, stronger, but also have more mental clarity. So I now link them both heavily together. We like I have the whole time, but for me, it's like if you ask me if I want to go and train push tomorrow, and we were benching, I want to be strong for bench. I'll bench 100 kilo easy. But if you also later on in the day ask me if I want to go and run a 5K, I can run a 5K and it not take me an hour to do because I'm so unfit. So for
mm,
me, fitness is a lifestyle, and it's not a very, very restrictive lifestyle
mm.
where the only reason you train is to just look good. I want to have a bit more of a kind of create a bigger purpose beyond that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like I said, I really, really do respect bodybuilders, and everyone is going to have their thing within fitness. And ultimately, I don't give a shit what it is, as long as you are using the gym and you're reaping the benefits of what fitness can do for you. I'm happy with whatever you do. And that's the truth of it. I really, really respect bodybuilders and how diligent they can be. Do I think that it's healthy? That's a whole complete different conversation. And even some bodybuilders will tell you that themselves. Like,
I openly say it. It's
so
not. Like, for either side, it's not. Like, and
yeah,
I was having this conversation with my mate the other day because he's getting he's competing at the moment.
yeah,
He was saying how, like, it's it's hard to say which one's more damaging if you do natural or enhanced. But like,
yeah,
even as a natural athlete, I think a lot of people don't understand this. You are literally starving yourself to the point where your hormones shut down. Like, it's fucked.
yeah.
And like,
To the point, and this might sound really full
mm,
on.
mm,
You can't even get hard on.
yeah, no, like literally, you can't. You have no sex drive. You have none of this. And this isn't me. I don't want this to come across as me slating bodybuilding because it's really not.
No,
Because
no,
like,
no. That's what. Yeah,
yeah, because I
literally.
fucking love bodybuilding, and some of my closest mates I've met through bodybuilding. Um,
Yeah,
but like what Cam's touched on there with like saying, like just about like going and meeting up for sessions. I found myself like recently, like my mindset had got so bad to the point where like if someone said that, oh, do you want to meet up for a session? I would literally say no because I didn't want to go off of my plan for one thing.
yeah,
Like one thing. Like I would literally stand around at the gym, wait 45 minutes for one piece of kit when there's another piece of kit I could easily use. Like
yeah,
I know that bodybuilding there is factors you need to track, but I think with me I started to recognize these patterns where everything had to be like this exact thing, like it had to be to the absolute T, and like I
yeah,
just noticed all these unhealthy behaviors coming out, and like I think I said it perfectly on my post where I said fitness should benefit your life and it should
not take away.
impact it in a positive way, and it should not
Yeah,
negatively affect it. And that's what it was doing
yeah,
for me, because I would find
yeah, of
every
course.
single week I'd and Max would even back this up. Like I remember one week I was so fucking pissed off with myself. I had 100% on my meal plan, 100% on everything, like 8 hours sleep, all my cardio, everything done. And I was pissed off at myself because I had like 2 meal deals in a week. And they weren't even bad meal deals. It was like a chicken salad sandwich. But I was like, oh, it isn't on the plan. And I I said I think I said when I first started with Max, I didn't want to like do all these things where I found myself going down like the same path as I was, like, you know, binge eating, all this kind of stuff. And I started to see this stuff come back up, and I was thinking, why is this occurring? Like, it's not the coach,
Yeah.
it's something within me. And I just realized that like I'm refining myself so much that as soon as I give myself one little bit of freedom, my body's like, fucking take it. Like
Yeah.
you've got this runway right now where you know you've done something bad. And then in my head it would be like, well, you've got a little bit of plan here. You might as well, you might as well
Yeah.
order it off. You know what I mean?
You might as well just go the full way.
Yeah. And I don't want this to be like a whole podcast that's about me like moaning about stuff, but like
No, it's not.
I think the biggest thing for me, which I put like two and two together, is like from when I was young, I was a fat kid, and I think and I was bullied heavily for it. But I think from young, I've heavily associated like, you know, like body image, like good body image with like you have a good life and everything's, everything is just like respected and everyone looks up to that and all this kind of stuff. And I realized that, I'm doing all this stuff to get me this, but at the end of the day, like I'm not happy. Like I might look good, but like I'm not happy in day-to-day life. And like it's just it's a subject I want to talk about today, just because the majority of my interaction on Instagram, believe it or not, isn't through fitness. It's through whenever I talk about like mental health, which really weirded me out. Like when I put that initial post up, I think I had like 20 comments. I think I had like 15, 20 people message me in the DMs. And it's just like from people I didn't even think. And like that like screams out to me, like, and I've said this with other people. I just think there's this stigma, not only just within bodybuilding, but within fitness, that like, especially even as a coach, like I'm sure you'll know this firsthand, like I think a lot of people find it really hard to be completely honest, because you think, oh, one, it's my business, and you want everyone to look up to you to be like this kind of pivotal leader. But two, you're like, the industry is, just for that. At the end of the day, is who can be the most optimal, who can live their lifestyle the best, who can get the most work done in a day. And I really feel like we need to start like putting out stuff and like talking about this more, because like, statistics are only going up, they aren't going down. Like men's mental health has only got worse over time, and it's like something I know for us, it's something that like really matters. And it's something that's like deep in our hearts. And
100%.
like I just feel like if we can spread a good message about that and get more of that in the industry and get more people talking about it, it's just a good thing to bring up.
I think also as well, right? I think something that we will both see with clients, no matter how long they've been at the gym, whenever you get somebody who starts with you, everyone wants to take it to such extremes straight away.
Yeah.
You have people who have never been in the gym before. They go, oh, I'd like to do 6 days a week. I want to eat this amount of calories. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you're like, what? Where is this perception coming from? Why can't you train 2 to 3 times a week, go out on the weekend, enjoy yourself, and not have such an extreme goal? I think people need to realize that just because you go to the gym and you like to lead a healthy lifestyle doesn't mean there has to be a strict end goal at the end of that. Like, you can go to the gym 3 times a week, do 3 full body sessions, get a little sweat on at the end of them, go out on the weekend, have a glass of wine, have some pizza, enjoy your life with your friends, and repeat that cycle. Like, that is ultimately, fitness is there to reward us, like you say. Like, this is to give, it's to give back to us. It's not to take away from us. And I feel like people just want to go to the absolute extremes. And everyone's so focused on doing stuff so down to the T and perfectly, but if you're not nailing all the other factors, that 1% genuinely doesn't matter. And I see Jackson, Pios, and Brightman talk about this, and it's like it's all good trying to have the most optimal split and everything like this, but are you somebody who needs every single factor to go into that? Like, are you Jackson Pios said it like the 1% matter? Okay, cool, they're good, but are you just an average gym goer who doesn't really need the 1%?
Mm.
Or are you a world champion that needs them 1% to take yourself to a whole new level?
Mm.
Most people who we coach don't need that level of in-depth. Listen, it's great that we have the knowledge to do that.
Yeah.
And you can utilize some of them tools, but trying to get everything absolutely perfect down to the T on every single little thing, nutrition, training, steps, whatever it is only going to lead to fucking disaster for some people.
I think it's hard, and like, especially like something I want to explore on YouTube is like, and I've said this to quite a few people, is like it's hard because fitness is like it's a form of self-improvement, right? But it's finding the balance between, I think you said it right, where like it should be something that complements your life, and it's something like happiness, but like it's hard because a lot of people like are just competitive and they want to be the best version of themselves. And like it is addicting once you start seeing progress and all this kind of stuff, and you think like, oh, I can go harder and I want to go harder. But I just it's like the mental side of things where you're being so hard on yourself, and then you kind of need like a reality check. Like when I initially messaged Max this, he was just like, mate, I totally agree. He was just like, why are you being so hard on yourself? Like, you're not going for Mr. Olympia. Like, I don't even want to like, you know what I mean? Like, why do I care? Why do I get pissed off if one week one of my reps is down? Like, and like everything else could be fine. Like everything could be nailed, and I could get like literally get to a point where my whole day is ruined due to that kind of stuff. And it's like
that one small thing.
It's and it's fucked. And it's so crazy. And it's like the same group of people that kind of fall under that category of like being obsessed with self-improvement, where like, and I've been in this exact bracket where it's like, I need to have a cold shower, I need to meditate, I need to like journal in the day to like tell myself I've had a good day, and like everything could have gone perfectly, but if I haven't done those three things, you're a failure for the day. And I don't know how to do it, because I do understand it. I understand like how the mind works in that way, where like you set yourself a challenge to do these things, and you're like, you can't say to yourself, oh, I can't not be pissed off because I've set myself a challenge. But at the same time, it's like you need to find balance where like realistically for your day to day, right? Is a cold shower gonna change your life? No. But like I think it's finding, habits which, one, positively impact your life, two, there's meaning behind it. And this is so big, because what is the reason you're doing this? Like realistically, is a cold shower going to benefit like a businessman who's working like a uptown doing this like stressful thing? Is there a genuine reason why he's doing it? Or is it just because, Andrew Huberman said, oh, it's pretty good to do first thing? Like, is it actually bringing anything to your life? Like, yeah, it's cool to hear all these health benefits, but are you actually feeling the reward of that? Or are you waking up every single day thinking first thing, fuck, I don't want to go get showered right now. I'm going to stay in bed for 2 more minutes. Do you know what I mean?
And that will then lead on, and it sounds really mad to say, but you will then start to dread waking up in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know you've got a cold shower. And it sounds mad to say, but I bet you're Mo Gawdat said it on Stephen Bartlett's podcast, that every night before you go to bed, you should go to bed feeling how you want to wake up. So he watches his favorite comedian every night before he goes to bed, which makes him laugh. So he goes to bed happy. And then when he wakes up, all he can remember from the night before is that he fell asleep just after he'd laughed. So if you go to bed filled with dread because, oh, flip, I've got to do a cold shower tomorrow morning.
Mm.
You're going to wake up like, oh, cold shower. And then before you even know it, you've set the tone for your day. And all right, cool, you might feel good for 2 minutes when you get out of it. But for the rest of the day, then you're thinking, shit,
Oh fuck! I got to do it tomorrow now.
I've got to do it tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and
okay,
it
cool.
it is hard because like you do want to build up like positive habits and all that, but
Yeah,
like it's drawing the line between self like, and this is what I really want to try and do with the content that I'm bringing out is like drawing the line between self improvement and just living life.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like I
yes,
feel like there's so much like small things which like a lot of people I think hyper like focus too much on, where you could do like one thing like differently in your day and it could have a massive impact, like just being present in a moment and actually enjoying that moment for what it is. And like when I saw your post the other day, like it was perfectly summarized. It was like you going on a walk and just leaving your phone there and just like being with Leanne and enjoying her time that she's there, and you can just have a conversation and you can just enjoy that time alone
yeah,
together. And I definitely think like a huge part of this is people not feeling good enough. Like
yeah,
that's it. That is literally the reason you are self-improving. And that's a lot of
mm,
the reason. That's the reason I got into the gym. That's the reason I
yeah,
think a lot of people get into fitness is,
yeah,
you grow up, either you're bullied for how you look, or you feel like you don't have a control of certain things in
mm,
your life. I started bodybuilding so I could have, control within, day-to-day things. I felt lost at the time. I hated my job. I turned up to
yeah,
every single day. I hated it. But I knew at
yeah,
the end of the day, I could control my macros. I could go to the gym, give it my all, and I knew that I
yeah,
was going to get a positive impact from that. But
yeah,
I'm not in that position anymore. But I
mm,
still hold on to that mindset. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's like being aware of how your mentality operates at one point in time, and not being aware that maybe 3 years down the line you're still operating that exact same way, but the circumstances don't facilitate the reasoning for
yeah,
that. But the self-awareness and all this kind of stuff, I just think is like some people don't even realize they're doing it. And I don't think,
no.
I genuinely, when like this clicked in my head the other week, I was like, holy fucking shit. Like I'm sorry for swearing, but like
You've been doing it for
I was,
so
I
long.
was like, holy fucking shit, I'm doing this and I'm being so hard on myself because I'm literally I'm still in that mindset from when I was
Yeah,
a kid, when I hated
yes,
how I looked.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's so important to be present with how you feel. And so many people nowadays, like the first thing that people do when they don't feel okay and they don't want to um, admit that and they don't want to face that,
Mhm.
people our age will go to the pub every night, do a ton of cocaine, fucking hit, like literally everything
Mhm.
to mask that. But what they don't realize is that the further you run away from something, the further you have to run back because one day it's going to slap you in the face. And that's what I realized. Growing up, I never wanted to come to terms with how I was feeling because of my anxiousness from literally a toddler. My
Mhm.
whole life, as soon as I've been conscious from 5, 6, 7, even before that, there's actions before I even knew I was an anxious kid. There was traits that I had, and it took me until I was maybe 20 years old, 18 years old, to realize why I act how I act. And instead of doing what I'd done the whole of my life and trying to stay busy and do this and do that, I said, you know what?
You need to take a
Instead
different
of me, let me try and do something different. How about I try and actually deal with how I'm feeling? Why don't I try and research how I'm feeling and ways that I can get over it? And why don't I educate myself? I started reading books about how to make myself feel better and not so down and um, not have so much self doubt and not be so hard on myself and negative to myself. Like, but so many people just cannot fathom the fact that sometimes they aren't going to be okay.
Mhm.
And it's completely normal. No one is ever 100%. We go through peaks and we go through troughs. And yes, there might be more troughs than there is peaks, but them troughs will get lower and lower and lower the more that you run away from how you actually feel. And that is why people become so addicted to these things, because it masks reality. And if you're not willing to face reality and how you actually feel, it's a downwards slope, mate. Genuinely, the best thing you can do, and it's hard. It genuinely is hard, and it's heartbreaking. But you have to look in the mirror and you have to go, where does this all come from? Because as soon as you find the root, them stairs, you can start building and building and building. And believe it or not, once you've started to build them stairs, you learn how to cope with these things better. When I start falling into a negative mindset again and start being cruel to myself or not so nice, I can now switch it straight away and go, that's not the real Cameron talking. So, okay, cool. You might not be able to block that out right now, and you're going to have to deal with them thoughts, and it's not going to feel nice. But as long as you appreciate the fact that you understand that's not you saying that, then you're good. And before you know it, you'll come around again. That's why now, when I fall into these traps, I'm never ever in them for long, because I've spent years, literally 5, 6, 7 years now, just trying to come to fathom with how I feel and understanding that, okay, yes, I am different. I am different, but that's okay. So let me understand myself. I'm not going to try and fit in with everybody else. I'm going to talk about how I feel. I'm going to talk when I'm down. I'm going to tell people where I'm stressed. I'm going to talk to my friends when I don't feel great. I'm going to talk to Leanne. I'm going to speak to my parents. Whereas before it would be, oh shit, I feel down. Let me just go and ask my mate if he wants to go and play football. And okay, cool, that helps. But
It is mad
just,
how much
yeah,
like speaking to someone like genuinely helps. And I know that's like the most fucking corny line ever, but like
no, it's true
someone who
though.
genuinely cares about you. Sometimes, like Cameron said, people use substances to, not even face it, because for like it's a very painful thing to,
Yeah.
experience things. No one knows what you've gone through for your life. And like a lot
Mm.
of the reason you don't want to face that trauma is because you've suppressed it. And
Yeah.
facing that trauma is, it's a very hard thing to do. But like if you think about it, like, walking down the street and you've got to take a new path. The first time you walk that path, you have no idea, where you're going. But
Yeah.
sometimes you need someone to guide you down that path, hold your
Yeah.
hand along the way and show you where you're going. And
Mm.
eventually, more times you go down that path, you think,
Yeah.
I've been down here before. I know how to, calculate. I know how to go down this the right way. But if you're
Yeah.
never doing that, and instead of walking down the path, you keep walking along that same road with the rain cloud overhead,
Mm.
you're just going to continue to get wet and still feel shit. So
Yeah. And that's genuinely the truth of it. And I think sometimes it comes down to, and this is going to sound quite harsh, but I had to go through it, and I think everyone will have to go through it at some point.
mm,
And it's a hard pill to swallow, but you are fully responsible for how you feel.
mm,
And for me, it was always like, I'm going to blame it on this, I'm going to blame it on that, I'm going to blame it on this. But actually, these things keep repeating because I hadn't fixed the problem myself. I
mm.
was literally 17. I'd um, my ankle went again for like the sixth time in the football season. I was playing full time football. I'd finished my college work, and I decided to. My football career was going, not career because I wasn't a professional, but I was trying to go pro, and it was going well. It was promising. I had good feedback, and I did my ankle for the last time, and I said, "Fuck this." And that was the worst thing I ever did, because my life went significantly downhill from there.
Mm.
I was 17. I was at home every single day, not working. I'd get Domino's 5 times a week. I put on tons and tons of weight. And every day I'd wake up and I'd be like, what is the fucking point? Like,
Was that your
genuinely, what is...
coping mechanism, just eating food and just getting comfort out of that?
Um, you know what? I don't even think it was that. I think it was just like, oh, I'm bored, so I'll just eat. So, like, it wasn't
Yeah.
making me feel better. Like, I
Mm.
knew I felt shit, but it was, for me, it was like, oh,
At least you
well,
had something to look forward to. Like, you got a
do you
nice. Do
know,
you know what I mean?
yeah, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't even walk. My ankle was busted.
Mm.
So, and then even as my ankle was getting better, I was still laying in bed all day, literally doing nothing, feeling sorry for myself. And it got to the point I would like the only thing I'd do is I'd drive down to David Lloyd and I'd sit in the spa or sit on a hotbed for 2 hours and still scroll on Instagram and do nothing. And then I was like, mate, I genuinely can't live like this. Like, I am doing nothing with my life. I've gone from being somebody who was, I'm not being funny, I was quite naturally gifted. Like, I could play majority of the sports at school. I never got bullied. I never had any problems like that. The only thing I had growing up was my anxiousness, which I dealt with. And all right, it wasn't nice, but other than that, I was so blessed. I was born into a brilliant family, very loving family, who've done well for themselves. Like, I had nothing. I had no reason for me to feel exactly how I felt, or I used to call myself a bum. Like, I was just a bum.
Hmm.
And then I was doing jack shit with my life. So it just come to me one day. I was like, I am so low, and it just felt like my life was never ever going to get better. And I was like, shit. I was like, is this literally going to be my life? Had a conversation with my mum, and I literally that day I went and bought the Law of Attraction book, Asking You Will Receive. I think I've got it in here. That's in the other room. Asking You Will Receive, Asking You Will Get, something like that. I read that and I realised that a lot of how I was feeling was self-inflicted, and if I maybe changed my thoughts and changed how I thought about things, my life would get better. So even though it was very tough, I started some better habits. So every time I thought of a negative thought, I tried to think of three positive ones.
Negative
Before I
thoughts
knew
stay
it,
in your mind a lot longer than positive thoughts. Just for
yeah,
everyone.
literally. So every time I thought of a negative thought, I thought of three positive ones, and it could be stuff. And the book taught me it can be anything. So if I was sitting at David Lloyd and I felt a negative thought come on, I'd look at the water and I'd be like, oh, I love how blue the water is today, or I love how the sun is shining today. Or if it was raining, I'd be like, oh, I appreciate that it's raining because the flowers outside are going to get watered and all of this. And it was like, that's what that book taught me, is that you can take gratitude and you can take joy from anything in your life. I'm resting my phone on a box of medicine here, and it could be simple as, I really like the design of that. Or if someone had a nice pair of shoes on, you go, oh, wow, I really like them shoes. And these positive thoughts really do catch on in your head, because from then you don't need anything extravagant. I don't need to go and spend £1,000 on a Moncler coat to make me happy for 2 minutes. It's
I'm second
actually,
nature as well. Like you reprogram your brain instead of thinking of negative actions. It starts thinking about positives instead of first thing is, oh, this is shit.
bro, honestly, I became so positive. I think it pissed people off. Like, because any situation, like, even now, it sounds really weird to say. I was at golf the other day and I I've flumped a shot and it went maybe a yard in front of me. But my first thought in my head was, oh, well, I'm still closer to the hole. Most people will be like, fuck it, fuck it. I was like, well, at least I'm closer to the hole. Like, I've moved forward and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, so
It is always your perception on things, like 100%.
100%.
Like, and with what you said about like, you were depressed where like you weren't doing anything. I think like I can relate to that a lot with just the lowest I've ever been has always been like you just do nothing. Like
Yeah.
and I think a common result of that is that's all you're thinking about is you're
Mhm.
doing nothing and you're left alone with your thoughts. And I was thinking about this the other day, and this is a genuine reason I've taken up meditation again. And when I
Yeah.
say meditation, I don't mean breath work. I mean I'm literally sitting in a room for 10 minutes with nothing, no
Yeah.
music, nothing, and I'm just letting my thoughts come and go so I can get
Yeah.
used to it. Because I think the reason I started doing this is because one day I think it was like a Monday I woke up. I did my normal thing, but I realized like it had gotten to like 2, 3 o'clock throughout the day. And I thought, fuck me, I have been stimulated all day. Like I woke up, listened to a podcast, went for a walk, watched YouTube, eating food, having YouTube. Like there's constant stimulation.
Yeah.
As soon as I was alone with my thoughts and I was just sitting there, I was just like, they're negative. Why am I thinking like this? What is going on?
Yeah.
And if you're not used to you know, your thoughts and separating yourself from your thoughts and understanding that, you know, everything you think isn't your reality.
Yeah.
You start to believe what's going on in your head and you let that impact you to a certain point. If you're not used to that, you have no control over that. And I think that's
Yeah.
a massive thing. So that's coming back to my point earlier where I said, you know, if you have these habits, make sure you actually have them for a reason. Because if you know you have them for a reason and you value them, the chances are that, yeah, you are going to do them more, you know, rather than, oh, I'm dreading a cold shower. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it because every single fitness influencer does it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. And I just think like, yeah, I think we're always responsible for how we're feeling, and even if it's somebody else has made us feel shit,
Hmm.
I still think we have a duty to pick ourselves up. And whether that be if someone pissed you off and you felt lifted by talking to me, that's a conversation you need to have.
Hmm.
Like genuinely, that's a conversation you need to have. And I had a conversation with a client earlier who's quite frankly, she's just down in the dumps at the moment, but for no real reason. And I
Hmm.
said to her, I said, you are ahead of most people because you can understand that you don't understand where the source is coming from, but you understand that you don't feel great and you're willing to talk to people about it. For me, and I think for many other people, when they start to feel like that and they don't understand why, they shut their books and become very quiet and very in their shell. But what they don't realize is that you've shut that problem in that shell with you.
Hmm.
So now all it is just you and the problem. Whereas actually, why don't you let me in the shell and we'll have some good times together, we'll have a laugh, but we'll also talk about how you're feeling. We spoke for maybe 25 minutes. How's this going? You work all right? Oh no, work's really hard at the moment. Oh, you had an argument with your boyfriend, and then your granddad's not well. And you find these sources just from a conversation. But sometimes you need other people to start a conversation for you because you can't answer the questions yourself.
Hmm.
Like I might ask you questions, is everything all right? Like, how's your training going? You might go, it's really shit. And then you go, there's why I'm stressed because I'm putting too much pressure on myself there. Or, oh, I lost 3 clients this month. That's £500 I've lost. And you go, oh, I didn't think about that. Because as humans, naturally, we just adapt. Like if I lost all of my earnings today, what's the first thing I'd do? I'd probably look to build them back up. I don't even have a time to even think about what's just happened. Whereas if you ask me how are you, and I go, oh, I'm really stressed, and you go, oh, why? What's happened? I go, oh, I've lost all my earnings, and then you start asking me questions. I then go, oh shit, like I haven't even dealt with this.
Hmm.
So I just think we're always responsible, but don't feel like you have to keep that to yourself. She was like, I don't want to talk to anybody because I don't want to be anyone's problem. I don't want to be anyone's burden. And somebody said this to me
Very common
before, and
response.
yeah, but this is, do you know what? Every time I've ever said this response to somebody before, they've never ever said it again.
Hmm.
If, if, wait, let me try and word this right. If you said to me that you felt like a burden anytime you talked to me about your problems, and if anybody ever says it to you, you have to say this to them. I would say to you, when I talk to you about my problems, do you think I'm a burden? And you'll say no, probably, because you don't believe that. So then I go, so what makes you think I'm going to feel like that by you talking to me? And
Hmm.
her face lit up and she was like, oh shit, I've never thought about that. And somebody said that to me before, and I was like, oh my God, like this actually, it's stuck with me forever. So anytime you talk to me about your problems and when you don't feel great, I never ever think you're a burden and I never ever think you're a problem.
I think people
Just
need to realize as well, like human connection and just being able to like have someone else hear you out. Like it's in our nature. Like we come from tribes and like I don't want to get like all Joe Rogan-y and shit, but like
yeah,
there is so much value in having someone else's, you know, like someone else's opinion because like you may be so stuck in a certain way due to, you know, your upbringing, who you're surrounded with, and just have someone else who isn't in that exact situation and be able to give
yeah,
you their input. Maybe you haven't heard, you know, that kind of side of before. It it
yeah,
it can be, you know, the thing you need in that situation.
yeah. and human connection and presence is just next level. Like it's something that you just need it, because when you've got
You
that,
take it for granted with social media.
100%.
Like I think like and I've realized like I'm definitely guilty. I think everyone's guilty of doing it. You don't meet up with your friends as much because you can call them, or you message them instead, or like if you think about like before the times of social media and that, like how common it would have been just to meet up with your friends like here and there, and like
Yeah,
it's so much easier to kind of suppress those things, and like it's so easy to assume someone's feeling a certain way just because they portray it on social media. uh,
yeah,
I think that's also another massive thing is like I've talked about it before, and I'm sure you're the same. It's just like comparison is
yeah,
definitely like, and especially for people starting off their fitness journeys, I think this is why you touched on the fact that like a lot of people always want to go 100% is because that's all they see on social media.
yeah,
No one's ever going to say, no one's ever going to brag about doing less than someone else. It's
yeah,
always either I'm doing I split 5 days a week, or I'm doing my cardio today, I'm doing all this. And like this with content and this kind of stuff, and this is why I really want to be more transparent about, and I still struggle with it. Like I still find it, I'll be honest right now, I'm not having the best day today, and I still find it really hard to talk about it. But like
yeah.
the more you do it, the more kind of second nature it becomes. And
Mm.
it just is so important to kind of voice that if you are struggling.
Yeah,
And for anyone listening to the podcast, if you are, struggling with, mental health, obviously we're not therapists, but please do, Samaritans, seek help, like see a therapist if you feel that way, if you feel like you're genuinely in a space where you don't feel comfortable speaking to anyone around you. There is places you can go to get that
yeah,
help. There always is going to be someone who's going to be wanting to listen to you.
yeah. There's companies as well where you can text them and it's fully anonymous,
Mm.
and there's a registered therapist on the other line, and they will just hear you out, and you just text them and you speak and things
Is
like that.
that
Like,
better help?
is it better help? They
But I
probably
hear
do
it
it
all
as well.
the time. It's when they they plug it on pods.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's another company. There's another company that I follow on Instagram that do that as well. Like if you want it anonymous, um, you can text anonymous. But I'll happily admit that like comparison is a real thing. And luckily, when I was going through that at 17, 18, I that was something that I got really good at not doing.
Mm.
And now I don't compare myself to anybody, because I truly believe there's enough for everybody. There's enough people on this world that need help for you to be fully booked, for me to be fully booked, to everyone I know that's a PT to be fully booked. So whenever somebody gets a new client, I'm happy for you, man. I'm
Mm.
really, really happy for you. But that doesn't mean sometimes I see um, coaches who I see them taking on X amount of people a week, and I'm like, fuck, why is that not me? But then
Yeah.
I snap myself out of it straight away, and I go, they could be lying about that, and
And
I hope they're not.
you could have had a class week as well. Like I literally
Yeah,
had two people register for coaching last week, and they joined, and I was so gassed with that. And then like literally like you said, I saw someone I think who said they had like like a ridiculous number of signups, like 10 signups in a day or something, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
well, it could be better. Do you know what I mean? Like
and you just think like, hold the
there's
fuck up.
something more I can be doing, and it's
Yeah,
like learning to have appreciation for where you're at.
yeah,
There is whatever you do in life, there's always going to be someone who's better. There's always going to be someone who's working harder. There's always going to be someone who's doing it more effectively. There's always going to be someone who's richer. If you're constantly chasing that, you're never
yeah.
going to live your life. And I promise you, when you reach that, even at that point, that is not going to be the answer to all your problems.
No, and shall I tell you something as well? Yeah, do you know how I see it?
How do you see it, mate?
Because so I'm being hella vulnerable today.
No, this is good. This is what we want.
Okay, cool.
This is a good pod.
I've never told anybody this, but anything I've ever done,
Hmm.
I almost have to be the best at it.
Mm.
And it's something that I really, really struggle with. Like
Mm.
really, really struggle with. But the way that I put it now is that I will not compare myself to anybody because I am me. There's only one me, which means that in my form, I am the best at everything that I can do.
Mm.
And there's room for improvement, but because I'm not comparing to anybody, technically I am the best. And it doesn't matter if I'm not fully there yet. I am exactly where I need to be right now. And okay, I'm only going to get better and better at everything I do. But I have, like, when I started playing golf, I was like, oh, this is a really good hobby because for the first time ever, I've started a sport and I don't want to be the best in the fucking world at it. But even now, I'm looking at golf memberships. I want to practice 5 times a week and all this. So, like, I've just got a really competitive mindset, but only for myself.
Mm.
Like, it's not like I want to be better because I want to be better than you. But for me, I just want to be like
You want to be the most effective and best version of yourself you can be
with every single thing I do, and that's not me comparing against anybody else, but it's me kind of comparing to who I am right now.
yeah
Like I'm
because
like,
in your like without you saying it in a way you're you're not worthy until you're that person. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
You constantly want to be that best version. Why can't
yeah,
you be happy with you now? Do you know what I mean?
yeah, and
Like
this is what
if you were to, like, God forbid, but if you were to die tomorrow, right?
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So what? You're not happy with yourself, and
But this is the
that's
thing as well. I think I would be happy because I spent majority of my life hiding from who I actually am.
mm,
But the past 6 years, I've actually gone, do you know what? I'm Cameron. I'm fucking sensitive. I care a lot for people. I'll do anything for anybody, any time of the day. I will help more people than I'll help myself.
mm,
And if you don't like that, you can fuck off. And that's I spent my whole life trying to be somebody who was heartless and not give a shit, but it never worked. But
mm,
now I show myself fully. And if you think that, so be it. But
mm.
I know I'm being authentic to who I am. And I know for a fact, no matter who you meet on this world, you won't find anybody with a heart as big as mine. And I can happily say that now. Like, and I'll confidently say that. Whereas before I was like, I just sound like a softie. But now I'm like,
Apart from Rich
actually,
Piana, because he has a massive heart, because he does loads of steroids.
Oi, did you see what? Do you follow George Osborne?
I'm not gonna lie, I stopped following him after he started doing steroids, and then I know there was like a whole drama with him coming off it. No, what happened?
Somebody from that physiques gym in Hemel Hempstead had died of a heart attack yesterday. Yeah,
Really? Oh, man.
he's very young as well.
Mm. Yeah.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
That Joe Aesthetics died as well.
Yeah. Oh, mate, that like
I
that
can't actually
like
lie, that one kind of hurt.
that one was like holy fucking shit.
Bro, he
Like,
was literally like
hey, the whole
30.
fitness industry that week was fucked because I don't know if you like follow Lex Little was as well was, but he posted like a video and he was talking about his childhood and he had like such a fucked childhood and it's just like,
Is it?
but it's good because in a way I feel like the message is starting to go, like people are becoming more comfortable in talking about this
Yeah.
kind of stuff and I think it
Well,
is.
did you see that? Did you see that quite a lot of bodybuilders posted that thing about Men's Mental Health Month?
Yeah.
Quite a lot of people, Cycles did it. Like quite a lot of people was like, June is a men's mental health month, but I guess we'll never really know about that.
The thing is,
So
though, I swear, like I saw that post and I thought the same thing, but I swear that's like America. I swear, like I don't know,
I don't
maybe
think it's in the UK
yeah, I know because I think I
because in the
remember
UK it's not pushed that much.
UK,
But I think they've just taken it on anyway.
like I'm is it June? One sec, mental health month. One second. I swear it's not. Yeah, it's in November. November
Yeah,
because it's
I
November.
did think it was towards the back end of the year.
Like, don't get me wrong.
But
I'm sure he was probably just doing it because it was like a general trend.
yeah,
Or like
quite a lot of English people did it.
yeah, because like I saw it and I thought I don't think that is for that.
No, I think it's just them
But
trying to put the message out there, like talk about how you're feeling, mate. It doesn't
mm,
make you less of a man.
yeah, like but for anyone who's like Sebum, did you see the podcast he did with
bro. Best podcast I've listened to in a
So
fucking long
good.
time.
And he hits the nail on the head where like
About being a masculine, but also at the same time,
like you can be a guy who wants to fuck shit up and like wants the best version of themselves, but like don't fucking pity yourself because you're an emotional human. Like brother, I said this to my mate today, and I'll happily say it on this podcast. I cried my eyes out, and I mean like I was sobbing, like literally weeping, because I read a poem from TikTok about having breakfast with your siblings, and when you grow up, how little breakfasts you have left together. And I was like sobbing over that.
Bro, I can't lie. I see some things on TikTok, and my heart, no, my throat gets numb, and I'm like, oh.
It was when I'm doing cardio as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on the stairmaster, I'm like, I swear.
Oh, do you know what? Oh, this is so funny to say about that when you're doing cardio. On my last week with Tom, I was on the stairmaster and that, and I kept on seeing videos people's last day with their dogs. I was in David Lloyd, and I texted Leanne, I was like, I'm actually going to fucking cry. And I was like, what the fuck? I see one earlier, literally. That's so funny you say that. I saved one an hour ago.
Yeah, they're so brutal.
Yo, homie, can we talk? And then it says swipe across in that. And like, I've been going through it a little bit recently. Like, I've been putting some pressure on myself big time. And I saw this and I was like, oh, fuck, man. It was like, you got to slow down, fam. You're stressing out over things that just aren't in your control anymore. You've got to stop overthinking, bro. We both know that it's affecting you more than ever. I know that you're in a lot of pain, but till you realize you've got to stop doing this to yourself, take care, bro. And I was like, it doesn't fully resonate with like how I feel right now, but like I know the feeling that some people are going to watch that and be like really upset by it. And I was like, wow. I was like, that's heavy, man. Like, but you know what? I really, and this is where I find the positive and everything. I like the fact that we're both in touch with our emotions.
I'm so grateful for it. Like I am so like as much as like I honestly I used to growing up I think I was like showing like actually that's a lie, but until like 2 years ago I was like very very like I can't show my emotions and all this kind of stuff. But I think when I went through it I was just like I owe myself a service to like be honest. But like being able to feel that level of emotion and actually like especially within like you friendships and being able to relate like. If you cry with your friend over something which is like seriously deep, like that's a real like fucking connection because that shows someone like how much you really like you mean to them, like to break down in front of like because it shows like one how much you care. You don't care how you're perceived in that moment, because like who wants to be seen crying? No one. Like no one wants to fucking cry. So if you're like in a public space and that goes down, it's just. Yeah, I know this episode has been a bit like unstructured, but
But you know what? I feel like it needs to be said, bro.
It does. It does.
It has to be said because you never know. Listen, we haven't got a massive audience on this, but I genuinely reckon anybody who listens to this, one, will be shocked about how we've spoke about ourselves and been that honest because you don't get it from men often. But two, I think they'll be relieved to hear it.
Yeah, it does need to be
100%
about more, and I feel like we've got a niche there where we're very open about kind of showing that side of things.
Yeah,
and I think it's our duty to genuinely speak up about it, and it's something I'm really trying to do with stories at the moment because I think I saw one of your stories the other week where you were like, I'm not having a good day. Like I'll be honest. And I respected you so much for that. And I just like in the moment, I think I'm so used to kind of closing off, whereas I want to do that.
Yeah. Do you know what? I know there's been some days recently where I haven't actually put it up. And at the end of the day, I'm like, I probably should have let people know that I didn't feel 100% today. But like, I just think it opens up to people feeling like they can do the same. Do you know what I mean? I see people that I admire doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know what? Fair play. Like George Heaton, I love my two top people at the moment are George Heaton.
Guys, I need to follow him. I don't even know where my phone is, so I can't. But
George Heaton's the guy who owns Represent.
Oh shit!
And he posted up. He was like, He said, I'm going to be. He's a very very closed off guy. He was like, I'm going to be completely honest. My workload at the moment is absolutely ridiculous. I'm stressed up to my eyeballs and I don't know how to cope with it. And I was like, bro, I was like, that is bloody good to see, man. Like, and then like even like just people I follow are being a lot more open, and I'm like, I really respect that. I really, really respect it, and it's good to see. And long may it continue.
I think that's perfect place to stop it, mate. I feel
Things
like I couldn't have closed that off better if I tried.
Yeah, man, that's good. I really enjoyed that.
All right. Well, next week, guys, we will get a question box back. This was a bit kind of spur of the moment getting back into it.
Yeah, we'll get a training episode done. We'll talk about we'll collate some questions and then we'll kind of we'll provide some education next week.
All right. Class.